might just be a minute or two. Oh, yep, it worked.
Oh, good. Okay, good. Like it's always a risk when you're doing something on a new different setup.
Yeah, I like how that was a forgotten piece of info. Although, again, you did get through it without any issues, so
Yeah, it just had to
cheers.
be logged in, but you could see it and everything on there, right? So we're
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Okay. Because what are you doing, computer? That's not the one I want. Oh,
You'll never get
whatever.
answers for that
Whatever.
question.
It's on there, right? Okay, I'm gonna check from my phone just to make sure, but
Okay,
um
I'll wait for the echo.
yeah, the echo, your videos. Okay. Go home. What am I? Okay. Just show me my gosh dang channel. I swear.
Good censoring, by the way.
I know, I remembered this time. Yeah, why is it not go to your channel? Okay. Now, can I just see? Why? Oh my God. Like it shows me like, the last things that you watch. I'm like, that's not what I want. I want to go to the actual channel and see what's going on.
But you've got AI to lay everything out for you
I know,
automatically.
it just censors everything for me.
And it's so smart.
So smart. So smart. All right, come on. Okay, playlist, go to your videos. No. Okay, your videos. No. Oh, I mean, it says it's live, so we're just gonna roll with it. And if it doesn't go up on there, then I guess I'll just upload it after.
Tell you
Because
what, I guess it might make more.
it was just weird because it flip-flopped my account. Like, it logged in, it said this was going, and then it flip-flopped to my like some generic Google one that I'm like, oh, I have no part of
It's
this.
up.
Okay, good. All
We are
right.
good.
Anyway, so long
Hello,
story.
everybody.
Yeah, hello. Long rambling, but I'm on my desktop and I had to outfit all of this. That's why I have a microphone and I have a camera and a light. I'm moving up in the world, but caused some problems because I never did this from this setup. So had a couple hiccups, but I think this should work okay.
But just a
Um
couple minutes at that.
yeah, so not too bad. We're okay. But today we're going to discuss the CME that was supposed to hit yesterday, overnight or
Yeah,
early.
like the afternoon yesterday, I want to
Yeah,
say.
something like that. I'm so bad with dates nowadays, so I'm like, I thought it was yesterday. And then talk about the filament eruption that happened on the 19th that has been modeled. Maybe it's gonna hit us, maybe not. And then we'll talk about solar cycle progression, but I think that's gonna be the gist of it. So if you want to take over about the current situation.
That sounds good.
You
I
can,
miss having certain CME arrivals because that makes life a lot easier when you
yeah.
get to know what's coming. So a lot of people are saying, "Oh, it's missing, it's not here." Well, I think it is here, and we just didn't notice it because it's so pitiful and so tiny that it didn't leave much of a mark.
No.
But there is a small but noticeable uptick in solar wind speed, and I mean small. My God,
Yeah,
350 kilometers a second at most, about 230 UT. So that would have been what 10:30 here, something like that.
yeah, something like
So
that.
about 3 or 4 hours ago. Um, well, I didn't really notice that, and I don't think any of us really noticed that. But then looking at solar wind data now, I've got the magnetic field data up, which is the more important thing to look at. This looks very flux ropey, starting from 1603 roughly. We got an all south BZ, fairly steady. We've got a starting off negative kind of western field for
Hmm.
BY, and then it's slowly going to positives now. So something like maybe a west southeast flux rip type. Temperatures also dropped back down to lower levels at that same time. Not that there was a big jump with this arrival, and again, I'm assuming this is the arrival because it makes the most sense. But it does look like we're in a flux rope now, so steady -5 nanotesla PZ. We might be in for some decent SMC Aurora.
Our favorite.
Woohoo! That'll pair nicely with the full moon we have going on as
Oh
well.
yeah, absolutely. You can watch the previous live about SMC.
And actually, that would be a good time to see. This has been what, 2 or 3 hours now? I'm gonna jump
Yeah,
and just
I
check the
think
AE
so.
index real quick.
Oh, yeah.
We got elevated activity there.
Look at that,
Yeah, there's
almost
some time.
500. I like
Yeah,
that's almost considered storm level.
this
Almost.
looks like SMC Aurora at least, and then it's changing a little bit, so this might be somewhat
Mm,
active.
I guess we'll just gotta
A
see
nice
what
change.
happens. Yeah.
So that's our missing CME. And again, I'm not 100% certainty on that, but I would put enough money towards it to pretty much put it at the end and say, okay, we're good and done.
Yeah, because I mean, it's hard to believe that it would have totally missed. It was just, it had a really good, or even though it was a weak signature, it had a good one.
When you see
Um,
a probability arrival of 95% or higher,
yeah,
it's pretty much a safe bet you're going to be getting it.
yeah, it just was not nearly as strong as we were hoping for. I mean, I don't think it was really forecasted to be that strong anyway. I think G1 was the most.
I
Um,
saw uh one forecast had it if the clock angle was all south, it
okay.
was KP7 possibility max, which yeah, we're not even close to geomagnetic storming at this point.
No, yeah, so it's pretty sad. So anyway, on to the next one. So so I will share my screen because we're going to talk about a filament eruption that happened around the 19th at like night I think it was 1930 UT. So let me see if I get this right because I got two screens up. I'm, really showing my
Stepping up in the world now.
my what do they call influencer skills here. Um, so I'm gonna show a couple different views here. This is 304. I like when I get on camera, I don't remember what anything is. But this is
Where are we?
304, which shows filaments pretty well. Basically plasma structures and things really quite well. And I believe I have this set up where I can just go back and forth in the timeline here. And you can see it kind of snap in the
Oh yeah,
some
that's a nice
views
eruption.
here. So it's actually a pretty nice eruption. It looks like it's mostly all south, but what we're going to show you in 211, which shows more of what's going on at Corona. Um, and it was cool about this. It shows you the loops reconnecting, which I find is really pretty. But what this shows really well is coronal holes. And if anybody watched Tamitha's feed yesterday, she probably mentioned the southern coronal hole right here, which this eruption happened to be on the edge of, and you can
In
see it right
fact, yeah,
there.
check out the wave coming out. It closes it a little bit.
Yeah. Um, there's a thought that that coronal hole might deflect this up a little bit, much like how this northern one deflected that CME south on the one that just hit, or we
I
think
like the
just hit.
symmetry there.
Yeah, yeah. It's actually, yeah, it's pretty neat, right? The one up here is massive, like, so that's a pretty nice big coronal hole. This one's not too big, but it could deflect this upward. So that being said, a couple of the offices have modeled this. We can look at the Huxt model, and you can see here it's the pink one, CME number 9. Um, and they have a pretty good, what was it, 65% probability hit.
Yep.
Um, so maybe.
Decent
And
spread in arrival times too.
yeah, so it's there's some uncertainty, of course, but and I'm gonna say there's probably quite a bit because of what that coronal hole is gonna do to it, and if we're gonna get anything from it. The CME scoreboard, they also have it in here. So the M2M office modeled it. Let's see, what did they say? So around the 23rd, looks like is the predicted shock.
23rd so yeah, the night of the 22nd, so tomorrow
Yeah.
night. Although
Let's
max
go back.
KP range 3 to 4.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm probably not gonna expect much out of this. Let's go back because I didn't look at Hux. So Hux has it about, I don't know, looks like about around that time as well. No,
Seven, ooh, actually
a
later
little
even.
further.
7:23.
Yeah, so that's actually a little further out. And maybe that's taking consideration of this slow background. That's what we didn't talk about. It's a slow background solar wind, which might be causing like the CME, the current one, to show up so late.
Traffic jam,
Yeah, traffic jam.
but on a cosmic level.
Hmm.
Those are my favorite. I'll sit in those ones. That's fine.
Yeah. So yeah, it looks like we have a little bit of discrepancy on the time, which is to be expected. But that's what we have current. I did have Swipsy up here, but I they didn't update their in-law model. That it's still currently for the current thing going on. So we don't even have to bring that up.
I wonder if they're going to model it. I guess there's a
Yeah, I'm
decent
not
chance
sure.
that might not get modeled.
Yeah, because it's so oh, here it is, because this is our so you see it's still the same one. Like we were supposed to get,
7 7. Yeah, that's old. Dang.
yeah, so this is the old one for the one. I mean, look at that. It was like a direct hit. So for it to just not show up, I just don't,
Yeah, and almost 24 hours later at that too.
yeah. So I'm thinking that whatever this little thing we're seeing right now is probably it. Unless we get a surprise later, but
Always possible.
always possible. But that's what I got on the filament eruption. I'm kind of on the fence about that.
I'm I'm honestly not even gonna keep an eye open for it.
Yeah, we'll just watch to see what happens, what ends up hitting our upstream monitors and see what happens there. But I guess we can segue into solar cycle, because that was our third topic. And I'll bring up before I hand it back over to you, I'll bring up I took a screenshot from this is an app called Aurora Compass. And it's a cool app too, much like, Glendale app's really cool, all these things. But what I love Aurora Compass for is this, because it'll show you the X-ray flux in conjunction to a picture. So instead of having to look at these things separate, you can look at them side by side and kind of tie things together. But we kept this one, I'll blow it up, because look at all them sunspots.
That is 18 regions.
276 total. I think it's a little less right now because things are rotating out, but when I took the screenshot, that was the height of the biggest number that I saw. So I wanted to screenshot and share it.
I don't
But
know if we have any history as far as what the most amount of active regions on the sun at a time would be, though I'll be
right,
honest, even if we did, I don't know how relevant it would be in showcasing what a potent sun would look like. I mean,
yeah,
18 regions, yes, but how many of these 18 regions have any sort of potential? And the answer is
right.
two.
Because even looking at this, there's only a couple on the disc here that's, hey, like you can look at it. And even the one we were going to talk about, which was I think this one here,
Hmm.
3751, it looked like it started
Simplified.
to, yeah, it kind of figured itself out.
It's at least bigger, but yeah, that's not too much to worry about at this point.
Yeah. Here, I'll give it back to you now because I know you had more for the
Yeah. So we're gonna go back to Star, which I really love this page. I know I advertise it, I want to say every single time that we do these streams, but the Solar Terrestrial Activity Report. This is a website I've been checking since the peak of cycle 24, and they've got just a slew of useful, I mean, charts and graphs, and some of them they pull from WSO and their polar field data. Some they just keep track of themselves. They even do sunspot analysis on their own, where they're independently analyzing sunspot regions compared to what NOAA would do. I honestly find that their explanations and grouping of sunspot regions are a little more efficient and honest, whereas the Space Weather Prediction Center ones generally, since they're taken at a way earlier time of the day, usually there's either changes made by the time that the forecast comes out or the report comes out for the active regions themselves.
makes sense.
But at this point, the interesting part was checking out solar cycle progress, more numbers to look at. Let's zoom out a little bit here.
Can never have too
So
many
this is
numbers.
starting in 2008, which is the very beginning of cycle 24, going to now. Blue line is the smooth sunspot number. This is the actual number that gets used for maximum peaks and for checking where the peaks are in the cycles. This averages out the peaks and the troughs of the, okay, really high sunspot number this month, but really low last month, and da 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 da, so on from there. That way we can get some sort of smooth looking graph or smooth-est. But what I want to note is the blue cyan line here is the smooth number for the northern hemisphere sunspots, which this actually keeps track of. The pink or indigo in this case is southern hemisphere. So zooming in to the latter half of it, without getting too far into the screen,
Right.
we had the northern hemisphere peak here at about, looks like April of 2023.
Oh yeah,
It's
yep.
just my rough guess. And that will also correspond to the first peak that we had for the cycle, which did indeed peak slightly after that. And then we had a little bit of a drop from there, and it has heavily increased since then. And green line here. So then keep in mind there's bold numbers here. So you got the letter or bold colors rather. Green is the actual monthly sunspot numbers. Red is the northern, green is the southern hemisphere. And then you've got the smooth averages, which are the bold indigo, cyan, and blue. But the point is, green line is up
Yeah.
to what is that, 250 or 120 now. So just in the southern hemisphere alone, we've got a sunspot number of about 120, which is causing the average to go quite a bit up. So as of right now, the pink indigo line, being the average smooth sunspot number for the southern hemisphere, is still increasing. It's likely
Hmm.
going to see a peak here very shortly, which then we can pretty much conclude will be the second peak for cycle 25, which means we are basically almost over the hump at this point. And then we might even start seeing some signs up very high in the polar regions of the sun of cycle 26 starting to at least
Yeah,
begin.
that's right. Yeah, that's what we always look forward to seeing. Well, knowing that okay, like we're in the decline now.
Definitely helps at least know the progress. Now, of course, that doesn't
Yeah.
mean we're going to be seeing less activity. We might get lucky and get more geomagnetic storms just from the CMEs coming from the latter half of the cycle. That seems to happen more commonly, whether or not, again, that's coincidence or circumstantial based on it being the last half of the solar cycle. I don't think there's enough info.
Yeah, because because as we've stated before, it takes a lot of things to line up for us to get these big storms. And as we've seen even throughout with the solar max like coming up, there was a lot of activity, but a lot of it was on the far side, which which doesn't
Doesn't
affect
help
us.
us. No. What's also interesting is we have such high numbers. Solar flux numbers have been in the 240s and
Yeah.
plus. The sunspot numbers are so high. But taking a look at Glasgow over the last 2 days, roughly, not a lot of big CMEs to look forward to. And in fact, a little puff over here is our filament CME,
Yep.
which I am very much not impressed with. But even just looking at it, there's one more small puff on the west side. That one there, that one looks like a far side eruption.
Yeah, it kind of does.
But
Like
it's
it
not like, ooh, what was that at the
there was
end?
some bright thing. I bet it was
Oh, we got a
far sided
backside full halo, it looks
though.
like.
Yeah.
That's almost directly in the side too.
Oh,
Wonder
well,
what that was from. Cool. I just noticed that.
Yeah.
But point
It was
is,
it was a very fast, like
not very CME heavy outside of that over the last 2 days.
yeah, it's been somewhat quiet. But but going back to your chart there with the uh sunspot numbers, what I like seeing is how many more we have than solar cycle 24.
Yeah, I mean, check out the first peak here, barely scratched 90. Our first peak here is well above 130
Uh-huh.
roughly. Second bigger peak in the actual solar max peak of cycle 24 hit about 110, 115. I think it was 112 actually. And we're still well above what, 175 now? Oh, or not 175,
Yeah,
130,
30-ish. So
roughly
that's
that.
always fun to see. So it's not as boring as 24 was.
And that'll keep going up slightly. Even if we see a decrease in sunspot numbers now, that should go up at least another month or two. So I
Yippee.
think we'd probably see 135, 140 for a max there.
That's exciting.
Rough estimate.
Then we just wait and
Yeah,
see what happens with the next one. But but yeah, it's because I know a lot of us were a little concerned at first because of how relatively boring solar cycle 24 was. Now, I mean, I have to be careful saying this kind of stuff because what's boring for us is actually beneficial to, I don't know, space
most
travel,
groups.
satellite operations, stuff like that.
Any people that really aren't related to the Aurora, which
Yeah. Which
is the
honestly,
opposite of what
like,
we are.
yeah, anybody probably watching this is more into Aurora, so it's like, yeah, we like to see a little bit more uptick in activity.
I wouldn't mind. In fact, looking at one more chart, they always put this main chart here, which has just a surplus of information. But the fun part is the blue line down here is the AP index, which instead of KP, AP is just another way of keeping track of it for 24 hours rather than 3 hours. They use a
That's
different
right.
number
Yep.
system too. But that giant peak, I went
Yeah,
all the
that's
way up to
wild.
what, 270?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and that was our May storm. But notice we've had what, two since then? So there's the May one from
Hmm.
2023 to April 1, 2023. I don't. Those are the only two real significant ones I remember, and then that was actually a
Yeah.
decent one. I forgot about that one.
Yeah, I did too. 'Cause I think
One we just
trying
had.
to remember, I think the weather was bad for that because like it was one of those like nobody saw it type deals. Or it was the peak of it was on the other side of the world, like it has been for us lately.
I was gonna say I feel like that's gonna be more
For our friends in
common.
Tasmania and Australia, it works
They
out
have
better
been
for
getting the
them.
good end of CMEs lately. That's true. I'm seeing a lot of Australia's, but Aurora Australia's photos over Borealis now.
Yeah, we just get left behind, but it's okay.
Our time is coming,
Yeah,
probably, maybe.
we'll get a good one. We'll get a good one someday. But anyway, that's kind of the gist of what we had for the day. Unless you could think of anything else.
Nope, that pretty much runs up everything I thought of too.
Yeah, I think we're caught up.
So everyone just go out and take photos of the moon because there's likely no Aurora to see through this.
Yeah, I guess once again we are broadcasting live from the lower 48 where the moon makes a difference down here.
I mean, you can get full moon aurora, and it's usually good, especially Alaska. Let's see, I
Yeah.
would love to see one of
Alaska is
those.
pretty nice actually. Like you can see where you walk around without a headlamp and not injure yourself and it's nice. Um
Sounds like a personal experience.
yes, it might be from personal experience. But yeah, down here it's a bit of a problem.
Too bad the polar latitudes still have sun anyway.
That is true. Yeah, they should be, well, August. I think it's
Mid-August.
August,
Hmm.
mid-August they start getting nighttime back. So
Like
soon.
August
Um,
12th might be the soonest I've seen aurora up there start for
yes, I
bright
think
shows,
I
but
think you can see it in nautical twilight with something that's relatively decent. I believe it shows up and so yeah, they should be starting to get that back. So we'll be seeing our friends in the north posting all those pictures that we always get jealous of all the time.
we miss you, Alaska.
Soon. Yeah.
I don't feel bad for you, but we do miss you.
Yes. That's all good. All right, on that note, we'll let everybody go. And as usual, if something pops up, we'll pop on and do another impromptu live like we did last week.
Yeah, I'll make the
Um,
next one.
yeah. So yeah, we'll do a group thing. Those are fun to do. So anyway, adios.
See everybody next week for
Yes, and
hopefully
I